Okay, so I'm going to go 0, 5, so I'm going to go up 5 on the y-axis, put a point, and then I have a slope of -2, which tells you to do what? Go down 2 and write 1. Now, before I draw in my line, I need to discuss your inequality. So this inequality here is a less than sign. Okay? You have to decide, is that a solid line or a dashed line? Does anybody remember how you decide? Charlie? Okay. If it does not have a line underneath the inequality, so if it doesn't have the equal to part, it will be dashed. Okay? Or I like to say dotted. So dotted and dashed meaning the same thing. So we are going to use our straight edge, and then we are going to make a dashed line. Think about driving on the highway. You have solid lines, you have dotted lines, where you can pass and not pass, right? Okay, so think of that this is a dotted line or a dashed line. Now, the other thing that we have to decide is where to shade. Okay? And to decide that, and you don't have to write this down, or you could write this down in your notebook, but I'm going to refer back to when we did inequalities before. When we had inequalities, we had 2 different types of circles that we put on inequalities. What were the 2 different types of circles? We had open circles and we had closed circles. The open circles were when you had greater than or less than, and the closed circles were when you had greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Okay? Now, if I'm thinking about that, it doesn't matter which graph we look at, if we talk about something greater than 2, what side of this would you shade? If it was greater than 2, you would shade on the right. If it was less than 2, you would shade on the left. Okay, so this sign here is a less than sign. Okay, so where do you think you are going to shade? On the left, or when we're doing inequalities, we call that below. Okay, so when we're graphing inequalities, you are going to shade below. You don't have to shade in the whole thing. When you do your Math Excel, all you're going to do is click that area and it will shade it off for you. Okay? So I just tend to put like a shade, a big squiggly line down the page. Okay? Because it's less than. We're going to write that in our notebook once we start gluing these in. Okay? So this is below. If you want, it's less than, so it's below. So you can reference that. Okay, so if I look at example 2, what is your y-intercept and your slope? So we are going to list y-intercept and your slope. Zach, which one can you give me? What is it? Okay, 2 over 3 or 2/3. And your y-intercept, Bailey? 7, 0, 7. Or -7, my bad. -7. Okay, so if I'm going to graph this, how are you going to graph this information? Go ahead, Rika.
Go down 7, like -7.
Yep. You're good. And then from my -7 on my y-axis, how am I going to graph that slope? Who's saying that, Bailey? Up to right 3. Now, is this going to be solid or dashed?
Solid.
Solid. Why?
Because he's in a line underneath.
Yes, it's equal to. So that means that we are going to have a solid line. Okay? Now let's see. What is this inequality sign? Is this less than equal to or greater than equal to? Greater than. So what part of this would be greater than? Would that be above my line or below my line?
Above.
Above. Some of us remember doing this maybe in the past a little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay. Good. Good to refresh, and hopefully you'll feel confident with this when we get done. Okay. Now, number 3 and 4. 3 and 4 are in what form? Standard form. So just like the opener, we are going to switch them to slope-intercept. Okay? So, to switch this to slope-intercept, we are going to subtract 4x. We will have 3y is less than or equal to negative 4x plus 9. Everybody okay with that? Okay, then I'm going to divide by 3. And I'm going to get negative 4/3 x, because that doesn't simplify. You're not going to write it as a decimal. You are not going to write it as negative 1 1/3. It stays as that improper fraction. And then what's 9 divided by 3? 3. So plus 3. Okay, from there, I should be able to say what my slope is and what my y-intercept is. So my slope, Cassandra, what's your slope? Good. And what's your y-intercept? Go ahead, babe. 3. So if I graph this, I'm going to do what? Go ahead, Rico.
3.
So I'm going to go up 3 on the y-axis, and then my slope
Go
down
down 4.
4. That's right, down 4, and then, yep, over 3, which would be to the right, because that's positive. Okay, dotted or solid? Ooh, which one is it? It's solid. Solid because it's equal to. And then where do I shade? Above or below? Below. It's less than, so it's a below shade. Okay, number 4 is in standard form again. So let's change it. It's the first thing that we need to do. Plus the 3x. Then what? Okay, when I divide by negative 2, what do I have to be careful about? Yes, you have to flip your sign. What's 10 divided by negative 2? Negative 5. Again, if you don't know, use your calculator. Okay, what is your slope of this line, Carly? What's the slope? -3/2. And the y-intercept, Shayla? 0, -5. So when I graph this, I'm going to go down 5 on my y-axis, and then to graph that slope, I'm going to go which direction? Down 3 and right 2. Now, is it dotted or solid? Or dashed, I guess. So it is going to be dashed or dotted, however you want to think of that. Okay, now, when you shade, you look at your slope-intercept form. You never shade from standard form. Can, but it's more difficult. So is this above or a below shade? It's above because it's greater than. Okay, now for the difficult part today. How do you fold this? Okay, I took the right side, and I'm going to fold it in. So it looks like that. You're not folding it in half. You won't. Well, I guess you could fold it in half if you just want to do it that way. And then I'm going to fold the other side in, and so like it makes like a little pamphlet. Okay? Glue it in one of your pages, 34 or 35. And then I'm going to give you another like half sheet of paper. Glue it in the bottom half of whichever page you're not gluing the pamphlet in. Okay? Because we've got to write a few things in.
I will shake it.
Yes, that's it. That's why I'm going to tell you.
You always complain.
He always yells at me the way it is.
Oh, for real.
You're welcome. Exactly. Corners. He always complains that how the artsy. I can't read your lips.
Do you go back out with Asia?
I have like 4.
Because I wasn't gonna fucking tell you. Just like, no,
We don't care about telling you.
oh, Biana. Oh, you.
Our relationship doesn't concern me.
Yeah, you're both my friends, so it does concern me.
Being so aggressive all the time.
Okay.
She's so aggressive.
On the other page that you glued just the like half sheet on. At the top of it, You are going to shade below if it's less than or less than equal to. That's a shade below if it's less than or less than equal to. So put it on your notebook somewhere so you can remember that. And it's a shade above if greater than or greater than equal to. Those rules only work if it's in slope-intercept form. Okay? That's the reason why those ones in standard we switched. Okay? Do we want to put dashed and solid lines there too so you can reference that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, it says solid line would be greater than equal to or less than equal to and a dashed line would be greater than or less than. So there's your 4 rules to know what type of line and where to shade.
Oh,
Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. You need to, off to the side, tell me your slope and tell me your y-intercept before you graph these. Okay? So anybody want to tell me that information for number 1? Go ahead, Liz. Slope is -2. And the y-intercept, Liz? Yep, 0, -2. And I keep putting it in an ordered pair because that's how Math Excel asks you to put it also. So if I'm going to graph this, Liz, to graph this,
Oh, go down 2, and then go down another 2, and then right 1.
okay, will this be dotted or solid?
Solid.
It is solid because it's equal to. And then will you shade above or shade below?
You'd shade above.
Yes, it is an above shade. Okay, number 2, slope. Okay, -1/3. And the y-intercept? 0, 1. So if I have to graph that, Cassandra,
Oh.
if I have to graph it, she's just over there talking away to herself.
Go 1,
Okay, I'm going to go up 1, and then
and then down 1 over 3.
solid or dotted?
Solid.
Solid. And then above or below?
Below.
Yes. Okay, number 3. That's one of those that I like to put special case by. When I put special case, it means you're going to have what type of line? Straight line. It's either going to be vertical or horizontal. You have to figure out which one. So what do we think if it says x equals, well, it doesn't say x equals, it says x is greater than or equal to -2. Okay, what type of line is that? Is that a horizontal line or a vertical line? How many people think it's a horizontal line? Okay? How many people say it's a vertical line because it says x equals? Ooh, there's a lot of people that aren't for sure. Okay, when it says x, that means it's going to cross your x-axis. So I'm going to go over to -2, and in order to cross my x-axis, it is going to be a vertical line up and down. Oh, good thing it's solid, because I put a solid line there. It is solid. Now, where do I shade? This says x is greater than or equal to -2.
So it would be
On the left side or the right side of -2?
right.
The right side, because that's where the numbers would be greater. This is a special case.
Pay attention to the signs. Right.
Okay, and then number 4. You're first going to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to write it acting like it's just a solid line there. Okay? So y equals what? What is your slope here? Okay, -2/2 will not be accepted because -2/2 is the same thing as -1 or -x. You can put -1x. And then what's your y-intercept? 2, so +2. Now, it's not an equal sign because it's shaded and it's also dashed. So I have to change that equal sign to an inequality. What inequality will it be? It will be greater than. Why?
Because it's dashed, so it's not equal, and it's on the opposite.
Yep, exactly right.